I want to push for our relationship, but it feels like he gave up already.
Sometimes the fight's already over.
And this story comes from our very own community, ladies and gentlemen. So get ready for one from our very own. I, 39 female, and my partner, 40 male, have been together for 4 years. When we met, it was an instant connection, and from day one, we became a couple. By the way, this comes from Affectionate Will, 1995. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKstorytime subreddit. Now, to provide some context, I got divorced 6 years ago. It was an extremely marriage that lasted 13 years, and I have 3 sons. It took 2 years to heal and find myself before I even considered entering into dating. I didn't actually set up my Tinder profile. A friend did while we were sitting through a long surgery. It became really funny to go through profiles. Some were absolutely hilarious. The pictures, OMG, haha. Either way, this is how I met Carl, not his real name.
Carl
is a software developer. He's brilliant, insanely skilled and talented dev. We had been together for a few months when my circumstances changed dramatically. Carl offered to let me move in with him. I was apprehensive and excited at the same time. The thing is, he stayed in a different city, not far, only 45 minutes, but it's a 180-degree difference. I went about repainting. His house was literally empty. He slept, ate, existed in his office, bed in there, and everything, so the house had not been maintained at all. Now, when I moved in, I started fixing things, repairing, repainting, etc., which he really liked and made it feel like a home. The commute to my kids, joint custody, when it was my time with them was the most heavy. They didn't like it for obvious reasons. No friends around, different house, totally different vibe of the city. I won't lie, it was an incredibly difficult adjustment. I uprooted, had no friends around, and my family lived in a different part of the country. I had no bearings. The people in the city were not nearly as open-minded and friendly as those in my city, and in this way, I felt very isolated. Of the people I did meet, only a small handful were authentic and intellectual and weren't offended by different opinions and viewpoints. It was hard, really hard, and to top it off, I wasn't working. Carl never showed me around the city, and the people I saw the most were his parents. Yeah, I mean, if Carl is literally sleeping in his office, I have a sneaking suspicion he's not a paint the town red kind of guy. I was battling to adjust, and Carl suddenly had to start traveling for work, like for 2 months at a time. So I was completely alone. Backstory, his boss was an a-hole, true in every way, not the, oh, he's a way, a real one. The red flags were on display. When I brought it up, Carl got angry. If I mentioned anything negative around this dude, it was met with serious anger. Carl literally couldn't see that his boss didn't give an F about him, but I could. This caused so much tension. Even the suggestion of getting a CV out there to feel around was a taboo subject to bring up. So off he went diligently as instructed. He'd be gone for months, back for a couple of months, and then gone again. His life revolves around his boss. But I loved and still love Carl. I do have to admit, it was super hard for me. We fought a lot while he was away, and I realized when I did cause a fight, it was because I was desperate for connection, and also what I think was a little jealous that he was having all these experiences and making memories out of exciting new places that I could not share with him. He was going to a hotel and sitting in a whole nother chair without her, dude. A whole brand new chair. Dude,
Think of all the chairs he sat in without me.
He watched TV on a couch.
Yeah.
That is without her. Come on, dude.
He watched a rerun of the history of paint on the History Channel.
Dude, you might as well just get married to someone else.
In an equally beige hotel room.
Golly.
He's like, I just want to know where the beige paint I love so much comes from.
It's his truest passion. I did explain this to him once I had figured it out, though. Either way, I was committed. I was in this 100%. I loved him. I wanted to stand by him. But things got crazier and crazier with his work, and he started assimilating the toxic attitude of his boss and treating me as though I wasn't a person. But I still tried. I'm an independent thinker. I have my own views. I have my own opinions. And there are times where I am definitely at fault, and I will take full responsibility for them. I eventually found a job again, and it was in my city. The commute was 2 hours there, 2 hours back because of traffic and super expensive. Carl and I agreed we would move back to my city since he works remotely from anywhere. So when we spoke about it, I put down a time frame saying that as soon as my contract became permanent, the move had to happen, basically in 7 months. He agreed. I kept reminding him, but I don't know if he just wasn't paying attention or if he didn't realize it was going to happen. Things came to a head in August of last year. I came home on a Friday and I told him I was going to be leaving Sunday back to my city. He broke down.
Yeah.
He broke down.
I mean, is this like just the chronic case of like, oh, you don't know what you have until it's gone? It sounds like he doesn't know what life is.
He literally loves paint.
His life is just one beige room to the next with his terrible boss that he loves. He has Stockholm syndrome for his boss.
Just marry the paint.
Yeah, just get.
Bro.
I've married the color beige.
He admitted that he neglected me and had treated me pretty toxically, begging me not to go. We both cried a lot that weekend because we were both in pain, but it was something I had to do, something he had known about that I had constantly reminded him about. He took me leaving as a sign that I was leaving him. That was not the case. I told him it was not the case, but he still believed it was. He left again for Thailand in October. I was still committed to him, and I made this clear. In December, he was involved in a terrible accident that landed him in ICU for 3 days.
Oh my God.
And another 9 days after in the general ward. We were communicating healthily, expressing our feelings, growing and repairing us. I felt like the guy I had met was finally back. The man I knew was back. It was magical. But it was short-lived. It was also at this time that his boss revealed his true psycho colors that I had already known he was for years. Carl suddenly was thrust into chaos. He didn't know what to do, but at the same time, he stopped communicating with me. I had no idea what was happening, constantly asking if he was safe and what was going on. Now, if there's one thing I know far too well, it's chaos and having your world flipped on its head. I could absolutely 100% identify with the confusion, the overwhelm, and the fear for your life and safety. What kind of code is this man coding? Is this like Dread Pirate Roberts over here? Is he working for the most like trained, freaking coding like criminal organization software?
He's coding for the triads, the secret online mafia.
He's like Ozark, but like
and
a coder.
The penguins from Madagascar.
Bro,
he's coding for all of those people.
This is crazy.
But also you moved in with him after you knew him for months. That's too fast.
This is territory I know intimately. Over the course of January, I was constantly trying to communicate with him, constantly asking what's happening, how he was, what his plan was, any kind of clarity that I love him and I support him. I was telling him to come home, regroup, and we can go from there. His answers changed day from day, if I even heard from him at all. It got to the point mid-January, I had no idea if we were even together anymore. The whole of January was I knew nothing, was told different things constantly. I was worried, anxious, and so fearful for him. I hated what he was going through because I knew exactly what it feels like. At the same time, I was grateful he had finally seen his boss for who he really is. And even though I knew this would eventually be the case, I hated that Carl was in pain. He told me he was coming home, but that all has changed. Instead, what started happening was him telling me that he actually didn't want to come home. He said his heart was no longer there and that we'd been apart for too long.
Oh.
I asked him if he was breaking up with me, and he said no.
Which is not what you just said, buddy. What you just said was, we've grown apart. We're no longer really together. Are we breaking up? No. Who said that?
No, that's ridiculous.
You did. You just did. Leave this man. Leave this man.
Please do.
Leave this man.
But this didn't align with what he was saying in his messages. I sent him videos every morning and evening telling him I loved him, I supported him, I will wait for him, but nothing apart from a thank you. For the last 12 days, I have literally, and I mean literally, been begging him to tell me if he sees me in his future or not. His response was that it's more complicated than that. What does that even mean? When you ask someone if they see you in their life and future, it's a simple yes or no. Yesterday, I couldn't deal with it anymore. I have cried so much for weeks. I have lived with not knowing what's going on at all. I sent a text saying it was a simple question to answer. And his silence and things he has said in his messages are actually the answer. And I'm listening now. After I sent that, I blocked him.
Nice. Give him what he asked for.
Yes. You see me in your future? Now you don't.
Yeah.
That's why it was complicated.
You found your own answer, which was, I guess we're broken up now. If you didn't think we were broken up before, you'll think we are after I block you.
Mm-hmm. By the way, there's a way where you can never break up with us.
And what way would that be?
Because we give you something that's so full of love, so full of everything you could possibly imagine, including full of stories just like this, full episodes. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you search OKstorytime, it's going to pop right up, and you have literally 49 straight days of content to listen to. So if you don't go there right now and just listen to our full discography, our greatest hits, I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Opie says, my heart is shattered. I was fighting so hard, constantly telling him I love him, I support him, I'll wait for him, I will fight for him, that I'll stand by him through the darkest times, but it's like I didn't matter to him at all. Now I'm sitting here wondering how, in 1 month, our relationship went from magic to nothing. I'm wondering if he even cares that it's ended, if he loved me like he claimed he did, or if I even mattered to him at all. I kind of wish that he would post his side of things and his feelings so I could at least get some understanding of what has happened. I'm sorry this is super long, even super summarized, it's staying long, but am I the a-hole for not fighting harder Should I have just given him more time?
No. OP, come on. OP, you listen to us. You're part of this family. Come on.
Sometimes
you need a hug and a little forehead kiss. Mwah.
things just need to be over, and it's okay for this to be over.
Yeah.
And you didn't need to fight harder for it, you know. The deck was stacked against y'all from the very beginning because of the moving in together situation kind of being thrust upon you. It wasn't really like a thing where you guys got to a point where it's like, oh, like, let's move in together. It was like, oh, like, I'm in between spots. I'm in a rough spot. And then it's like, oh, well, let's just move in with me into my beige palace with nothing in it except where I work.